Hey adventurers, so now it's my turn to do the top 100 books of all time. This isn't actually an accurate title because some of these will have series, complete series, some of them will have individual books or the series and the books split up, stuff like that. It's not a true top 100 books of all time, and it would probably be good if I were to limit it to just fantasy or fantasy and sci-fi. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to... these are the books that I put on here because I thought that they belonged on here. And I'm sure that there are some that are not accurate because I have forgotten books and I'm already thinking of one that I don't know where it belongs. Somewhere on here it will have to go, and I don't know where I'm going to put that. Maybe, let's see. I'm going to update it right now as my number 93 spot, and that is, I'll talk about it when I get. Alright, so for slot 100. This first one will be 100 through 99. This is the top, or this is number 10. Let's see, who did I first see do this video idea? Was it Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews maybe? And then I think I saw, who else did it? There's been several people who have done it now. Bryce from Shelf Center, that's the one that I remember specifically watching several of the videos and then not being able to continue because I didn't have time to watch videos or something like that. I know there's been several other people who have been doing it and have done it in the past and stuff like that. I wanted to do it my own because it's a good way to create 10 videos ahead of time. Creating this list is very difficult, trying to think of all the books that you've read. Anyways, I'm not going to ramble anymore. We're going to talk about what my number 100 is, and that is, I put Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. I like this book a lot. It is not my favorite book of all time. It is not my favorite Star Wars book of all time. In fact, I should have put that other Star Wars book on there. There's a lot of books that, as I go through this, I'm going to realize, oh, that book deserves to be on here, but it's not. So it is what it is. We're just gonna continue on going through here. These are the books that I have. I'm probably not gonna update this list too much, and it's just gonna be what it is. Anyways, Thrawn. Why do I like Thrawn? I like the character of Thrawn. Thrawn is a character that I've known for a long time, known about for even longer. The first time I actually consumed any media with him in it was in Rebels. I hadn't read the Thrawn. I haven't still read the Thrawn trilogy, the Heir to the Empire trilogy that Zahn originally wrote for Star Wars, and for the EU, or for the Legends as it's now called. And I haven't read those. I will eventually, hopefully, maybe someday. I want to read those. But I like the character. I like the very calculating, the very smart, very manipulative, but not evil. He's just smart. He's just calculating. He's doing what he needs to progress his goals. And he's just a very smart character. He's a very cool character, and I really like this. The reason why Thrawn, this book specifically, is so low, meaning 100, is because he is, this is a very slow book. It's borderline boring at times. That being said, I really enjoyed it still, but mostly because I just love Star Wars so much. And yeah, that's kind of why this book is even on this list, is because I like the character and I like Star Wars so much. Number 99, we have Children of the Consortium with Recorder and Aberration. Book 3 is Guardian, and it is not out yet, although people have received ARCs, I believe, for it. I think it comes out in March sometime. I won't probably read it till towards the end of this year. I would like to read it sooner, but I most likely won't. Anyways, these two books, they're sci-fi books. The reason I put these on here, they're not my favorite books of all time. I really enjoy them, but they're not my favorite books of all time. What they do is they have a character that I relate to in a way that not many other characters I've ever related to. And because of that, I have to put them on here because the character is just, I see myself in that character in a lot of ways. Even if maybe I'm not supposed to, maybe I am not the correct personality, whatever you want to say. Maybe that character is not designed for me, but I still see myself in that character. And because of that, these books I really liked. I really wanted to put them on here. Plus the sci-fi stuff that's going on is really cool. Yeah, that's really all I'm going to say. I don't want this video to take 25 minutes like my top 10 fantasy series of all time did. So I'm going to set these down and continue moving on. At number 97, we have the Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Heroes of Olympus series. So this is actually 10 books. I really like both these series for different reasons. I like Heroes of Olympus because it gets even bigger. We have higher stakes. We have more characters that I can enjoy. We have more world building, all that kind of stuff. That's all great. But I also really like the personal journey of Percy in the Percy Jackson The Olympian series. And because of that, my enjoyment of them is actually about equal, even though there's parts of each of them that I like more than the other thing. So I did want them on the series. They don't deserve to be super high, which is why they are at place 97. Moving on, Kane Chronicles. I like Kane Chronicles more. This is also by Riordan. I like Kane Chronicles more than I like Percy Jackson or Heroes of Olympus. I think they're tighter stories. I think they're more interesting. I do like Greek and Roman mythology more than I like Egyptian, but I like the way that the stories were told with the Kane Chronicles more than Percy Jackson. Maybe that's because they were more exotic, I guess that you could say, than Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson just felt very normal, and maybe that's because I'd read them at least once before. And with my most recent reread last 2 years, 2022 and 2023, I realized that there's books that I enjoy more at this stage in my life than I did previously. But Kane Chronicles I haven't reread, and so I don't know that, and so I'm just going to keep them up above Percy Jackson for the time being. Number 95. People might not agree with me on this one. For several reasons. Maybe it's too low, maybe it shouldn't be on here at all, maybe it's too high, who knows. Maybe it's exactly where it needs to be, which is where it's at for me. I think that this is a good place for it, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is the first book in the Wheel of Time. I really liked this first book. Wasn't my favorite book of all time. It's one of the best books in the series, in my opinion, that I've read so far. I think I've read 9 books in the series, maybe. I don't remember, 8 or 9. Or 10 maybe, I don't remember. If I've read book 9, then it's 10 because I've also read New Spring, which is a prequel. Whatever the case is, somewhere around 9 books in the series I've read, and though not the best book in the series, I think it might be number 3 for me or something like that. Number 2 or 3 in where I rank it. Good book, a great start to the series, but it does very much not deserve to be super high on this list, unfortunately. Then we have number 94. That would be The Story of Kullervo by J.R. Tolkien. This is his retelling of the Kalevala, I think. Kalevala, which is a Finland. It's a Finnish, so the Kalevala is a Finnish myth, and Tolkien discovered it. The Story of Kullervo is kind of his retelling of that story. And I mean, it's super short. It's like 98 pages, I kind of want to say. Oh, not quite. 168 with the bibliography. And I really enjoyed it. It's very atmospheric. It's very much like I felt like I was wandering the world with Kullervo. It's a tragedy. It's the basis for the children of Húrin and for the story of Túrin. And I just really enjoyed it. It is harder to read. It's incomplete. It's a lot of notes. That doesn't make me not enjoy the book though. But it is harder to read, and although it deserves to be on this top 100 list for me, does not deserve to be super high, even though I enjoy it a lot. Alright, so 93, the one that honestly probably deserves to be higher, although I also do need to reread it, but it's the one that I replaced right at the beginning of this video because I remember that I'd read it, and that is H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds, one of my favorite fantasy sci-fi books of all time. This is one of the books, it probably deserves to be higher than it is, probably even deserves to be up in my top 10, and I just didn't think about it until just right now, right when I'm filming this video, so it's going to be here because it deserves to be on this list, but I forgot to put it on here earlier. Anyways, I love this book. I love it's like a sci-fi horror book to some degree, but it's also not that scary. It's one of the first sci-fi books that I read, and it's one of the books that told me, oh, maybe I can enjoy sci-fi. Because I think I read it before I had even watched hardly any Star Trek, and Star Trek was really what told me I don't like sci-fi. So this is kind of an important book for me. I did read it a long time ago. It's been many, many years. It's been probably 10, 12 years since I read this book, honestly. I cannot remember. I do need to reread it, but I love this book. It deserves to be on this list, even though it probably deserves to be higher as well. You know what? I forgot 98. I skipped 98. We're going to talk about 98 real quick. I don't know how I skipped to 98, but anyways, 98 is The Gunslinger by Stephen King. This is his first book in the Dark Tower series. This is one that I didn't know if I would like. I didn't care for the first book that I'd read of him. I liked the writing style I liked King's writing style, but I didn't like the book, which was The Dead Zones. That one's not on this list for sure. That's down a long ways. And all the books that I've ever read. But anyways, The Gunslinger I really enjoyed quite a bit. Does not deserve to be super high on this list because it's not the best book that I've ever read and have a lot of issues with it. But I enjoyed it enough that I could put it up here in the 90s somewhere. And so 97 or 98 is where I put it, and that's where it belongs. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Not my favorite book of all time by any means, but it can be up in the top 90, 98, place 98. So anyways, now we will jump back down to number 92, which is Rogue Planet by Greg Bear. I don't know that I've ever read anything else by this author. Probably not, because I don't know the author's name. But I remember reading this book and really enjoying it because, well, for one, it's Star Wars, but it's also Anakin and Obi-Wan. Anakin is probably my favorite Star Wars character, although Ahsoka gives him a run for his money up until the Ahsoka series, which I didn't care for that much. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't that great. It wasn't as good as it needed to be, let's put it that way. Anyways, I like Anakin and Obi-Wan. This is one of their early missions as Master and Padawan. This is a Legends novel, or a non-canon EU novel, whatever you want to call it. I like it a lot, though. It's really fun. The Xenoma Seacot is the planet that they go to. It's known as the Rogue Planet because it doesn't orbit a star. As such, it just floats around out in the galaxy. There's some mechanics that go along with that I'm not going to get into because that's part of the mystery of the world. But there's also these special, almost sentient spaceships that are in this book that they have interactions with and stuff like that, and just a lot of really cool stuff in this book that I really enjoyed. Yeah, I'm happy to put it in this top 100, especially in this top 90 to 100 to 91 place. 92 is a good spot for it. It's not even my favorite Star Wars book that I've read. Not my favorite Star Wars book of all time that I've ever read, but I'm going to put it on here, and I'm happy to put it on here. And number 91, I have the Hunger Games trilogy. This can also include Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I guess. The series as a whole, the Hunger Games series as a whole, I really like. I think there's a lot of fantastic stuff going on in this series. I think that the theming and the storytelling that is going on in this series is what makes this series good. I don't particularly care about the characters that much or anything like that, but it is really the series, the story and the themes that are going on in the series, the world building to a strong degree, that makes this series so strong for me. So yeah, I'm happy to put it at my number 91 slot. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes can just slip right in there with that series, although Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingbird are the Hunger Games trilogy. Anyways, that is my 100 through 91 of my top 100 books of all time. That is also not completely accurate, but that's how these things go. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.